On this episode of Star Trek Universe, we're discussing Strange New Worlds 210, the Season 2 finale, Hegemony, right after these words from our mystery sponsors.
Hegemony Cricket.
Well, they do look like crickets. The younglings look like big crickets.
They do a bit. Welcome to Star Trek Universe Podcast, where you get to listen in on two lifelong friends, do what they've been doing since they were 6 years old, just sit and talk about Star Trek, and be mad that finales have to be continueds, and we have to wait a year.
Damn it. Maybe longer because of the strike.
Oh, that's terrible news.
I know.
Damn it, Lore, with your Power Rangers facility full of Borg.
Yeah. Bullshit Descent parts 1 and 2.
It's one of the ones I remember watching and being like, dang it, it's going to be so long till the next one.
Yeah. It's funny that you remember that they were in the command center from Power Rangers.
Well, I rewatched it from for the rewatch we did of all the Picard stuff.
Oh yeah, the Picard primer.
Yeah, when I was writing all the songs and stuff.
Yeah,
yeah, it's that same building.
It is. It totally is. It's a cool looking building.
It is a cool looking building, and I think they use it for a lot of things, but sometimes from other angles. But the angle they use in Descent looks exactly like the Power Rangers angle, and I'm like,
oh, yeah, totally,
that's it.
Totally.
Good stuff. Okay, so where are we at? We were talking about this new Strange New Worlds episode, the finale for Season 2.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. What did you think?
I loved it. Start to finish. Like, I have no notes. I just loved everything. I loved Scotty.
Yeah.
I do think it's a little ridiculous that he keeps just popping up. The way they pop him up in the alternate timeline where he's like stranded on like an outpost somewhere, and then they like come here to this like little planet, and he's like, "Yep, I got stranded here." Mm-hmm. I think it's funny that like there's a deleted scene in the 2009 Star Trek movie where Spock says that he tells young Kirk that it looks like time is trying to mend itself, which is something that they've also said here in this universe. Mm-hmm. I love the concept that like time keeps trying to mend itself by stranding Scotty in places.
It's pretty good. That's pretty good. Of course, we don't know. This could be how he originally got onto the Enterprise.
I doubt it, because if you look at Arena, like Kirk doesn't know anything about the Gorn. Like, and
Kirk doesn't, but wouldn't other people maybe?
Yeah, but you're looking at like the Gorn, like slowly dicking their way into the Federation space. So we're talking about a war here. I'm getting more and more, or I'm feeling more and more like it's some sort of like alteration to the original timeline, because in Arena they acted like they didn't know. Like I don't really understand how they could not know about the Gorn. Like the Federation has enough info on them to where they're making specialized weapons to take them out.
Yeah. But it is pretty secretive at this point. Like, only certain ships have those, and only the captain knows about them and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe.
So at this point, the information is pretty, whatever.
Need to tell, need to know, whatever.
Yeah, need to know. There's a word for that when you, not bifurcate.
Classified?
No, never mind. There's a word for keeping separation between people having different knowledge or whatever.
Uh-huh.
At this point, I guess they're trying not to freak out the rest of the Federation, that they're going to war. They're just letting the captains know. Which we saw them go into like a meeting about that, and we just didn't know exactly what they said, but apparently they gave them all weaponry.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see how they play it next year or year after that, or whenever the hell we get this Season 3. Yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed this a whole lot. And Bethany totally called it. Bethany's my wife. She called the fact that like when the Gorn was like didn't attack Batel, she was like, she's got eggs.
Yep.
And I was like, well,
rough.
And I was like, well, I don't know, because like, what's her face is saying like, well, Ann is saying like these hatchlings, these younglings should be attacking each other. and they're not. So there's definitely something going on with the Gorn, and I assume that there will be more to them than the Federation thinks there is, and what Pike was saying about there's always hope, and there's a way we can communicate with them, which is also like sort of an indication of what was going on in Arena, of the final lesson in that episode. So I don't know. There's something going on with those guys, but I'm very intrigued, and I'm loving Scotty. He was like my favorite part of the episode.
Yeah,
I was just so pleased with him.
He's great, and as an addition to the show, he's going to be awesome if he sticks around, and it would make sense if he does. I love the idea of him and what's her name?
Palia?
Sorry, okay. I was like, there's so many. It feels like it's too many letters in her name that I can't ever think of the order they go in. Palia, like they both have those really broad accents. Like, I just love the idea of them yelling at each other in engineering, and like the fact that they have this relationship that he's her best student, but also the worst grades. Like, she's gonna be like weirdly disappointed in him for like being the guy he is, but also being so intelligent. It's gonna be a really good dynamic. I feel like.
Yeah, I think he's the first actual Scottish actor to play Scotty.
Ooh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
that's neat. Yeah, I love Scotty showing up. He's great. The portrayal's great,
and he looks enough like doing that. When he popped his head out, I was like, Scotty.
Yeah, as soon as he spoke, I knew.
It wasn't speaking. I saw him, and I was like, oh.
That's awesome. That's great. I love that. And I liked it. Like, Pike is really having that classic Star Trek thing of like, he really hates the Gorn. Like, he really wants to kill him. And he's really, especially when he knows that Batel is in danger and wants to go save her. He's like, these are monsters. And like, he's trying to keep his composure and do the right thing, but he also believes them to be utter monsters at this point.
Yeah, he's going to be like, I've never trusted Gorn, and I never will. Mm-hmm. I can never forgive them for the impregnation of my lady.
Got to her before I could.
They penetrated her cayuga. By the way, I always love an episode that shows us just like a war-torn, destroyed freaking Federation ship. Mm-hmm. And man, it's always just such an emotional thing for me. Where I'm just like, oh my god, the destruction. Mm-hmm. This was like on par, like seeing the Cayuga destroyed like that. It was on par with like when they warp into that just the destruction of that battlefield with the Narada in 2009, or when they just like warped in and found like all of those ships at Wolf 359. Like,
right? Yeah,
that same feeling was just like, oh damn.
Yeah, we're so used to, because in the past the ships were expensive to build. They didn't do a lot of changes to them. They didn't do a lot of like physical damage and stuff. So we're used to the ships looking pretty pristine from the original series and Next Generation. And then when we get to those things like in Wolf 359 and then DS9, all the wars and all of that, it's like weirdly visceral to see a Federation saucer section ripped in half. Yeah, it's fun. It was good stuff, and I enjoyed that whole thing, the whole fight scene and everything with the Gorn. Like, we were talking about how Discovery is kind of the home of that kind of like just action sequence type stuff in a way. Yeah, but this really got there with just full on alien combat in 0G. It was fun.
Yeah, and look, I understand like the Gorn have to be intelligent enough to have spaceships. They just do. I mean, they have to be intelligent. But it's still hilarious to see a Gorn in an environmental suit.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to think to take that too seriously.
I don't know, like, it makes sense. I'm sitting there just like chuckling as like he's fighting, Spock is fighting this thing. I'm just like, why? It just looks silly.
I understand. Yeah, it seems like they would just like have some sort of other solution, or like they don't even need air. Like they're just so like monstrous. In a lot of things you'd think they'd do that, but this being Star Trek, they try to make it somewhat scientifically accurate, and that thing's got to breathe.
Yeah, Bethany pointed out, and I was pretty pleased. She pointed out that it was kind of a nod to Arena, with how slowly the Gorn was fighting Kirk and how slowly Kirk was fighting the Gorn. They're like, she was like, they found a way to make that work here. They're just doing it in 0G.
That's true. There's very slow, deliberate movements. Mm-hmm. That's really funny. Good job, Bethany. That's good.
But yeah, no, I loved it. I thought it was great. Jess Bush once again killed it. Ethan Peck is just killing it. I don't know, man. Even Ortega's, man,
really good in this episode.
Like, she had jokes, but it wasn't with that like snarky bullshit attitude that she usually has. I loved seeing her cut loose, flying the shuttle down to the planet. Like, it actually looked like this is her jam. This is what she does. This is her favorite thing. Man. And, conveying her hatred of the Gorn with M'Benga, and, like, talking about, like, how they're pretty sure Chapel is dead. I don't know, man. It hit all the right notes. Even M'Benga, like, in light of him killing that Klingon earlier this season, where he's just like, yeah, I'm down to kiss him, Gorn.
Yeah.
It's like, yep. You are not a Hippocratic man, are you?
Nope. Kind of hypocritical,
Yeah, man. Things get dicey on the Raggedy Edge.
Oh, speaking of Firefly, we had this moment where they needed to be space debris, which is exactly how they accomplish one of the things they do in Serenity. And so it was pretty great. They even had like stuff tacked to the outside of the ship to make them look like space debris, and they tried to float through the debris field. I was like, this is very, very Reaver-tastic.
Yes, it was.
I dug it.
Yes, it was.
Just a good episode. Like you said, from beginning to end, you like this one, and I like this from beginning to the not end, because it's to be continued. Like I like it so far. A lot of times for me, Star Trek episodes are often really can swing one way or the other on how they decide to resolve it. You know what I mean? And the fact that this one's so unresolved, and we have to wait 8 months, and there's just this like big question mark about where these other like hundreds of survivors are, and they're like on the Gorn ship, and Pike's been told to stand down. He's already basically disobeyed orders once to go in and save these people. And now he's got Batel back, but she's been impregnated with a Gorn egg, so it's like the anger toward the Gorn is great. It's like all the metrics of why he disobeyed orders. He hates the Gorn, they're monsters. He wants to save Batel. And of course, he just wants to save anyone who's down there. So there's like 3 solid reasons, but it's like, I think he's more angry at them. But Batel's not there anymore, so there's not the personal connection, except for M'Benga and some of his other friends. He's got a lot of his crew is there. So is it M'Benga, Ortega's? Who else is gone? Everyone who's down there except for except for the 2 of them, or really except for Pike, because only 3 who came back were Scotty, Batel, and Pike. So all the people that Pike went down with are gone. His entire whatever
away team.
Oh yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Which I think had La'an as well. La'an, Ortega, M'Benga. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because number 1 was on the ship, and Spock was on the ship. I knew when I saw those transporter effects, I was like, that's not Starfleet.
Those are not Starfleet's transporter effects. It's so funny, like, knowing the language of the show so well, and like something like that's supposed to be a surprise is just so clearly given away when you know the language of the show well enough. It's great, man. It's exciting episode, but again, I feel like I will know more how much I love this episode when I know how they resolve it, and whether it's like, worthier of the like amount that's gone into it, and whether they really come up with something that like is meaningful. Because I don't know, I expect Star Trek. This episode's great, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a great fun action episode. But
suspenseful, keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah. All those things, and it's like it's the problem solving that Star Trek is often known for, and I love that. But there's also like, to me, there's always has to be like a decision and like a morality play of some sort for an episode of Star Trek to really hit for me. And like, I'm waiting to see how that resolves and what it ends up being. Does he just end up going after the Gorn full on, or does he risk war with the Gorn? Does he cause war with the Gorn? What is he gonna do to start season 3? Like, could season 3, we thought this season might be kind of a Gorn war season, and we were kind of expecting that a little bit when they talked about it earlier in the season, but it could be this is all the precursor, and then maybe he makes that Michael Burnham decision where he ends up causing the war with the Gorn,
Yeah, and I don't think that's how they'll wind up pushing it. I think like I said, his speech to La'an earlier in the episode about how there's another way. Mm-hmm. They've even changed from what you described and what you experienced. They're different. There's something else going on with them. So there might be a way to communicate with them that's not war. And I think that's what they'll lean to, especially with like everyone really pushing towards kill them. I feel like Pike's speech of hope is going to wind up being his stand.
How did it resolve in Arena? Like you said that there was more to the Gorn, but how did it resolve?
How it resolved was Kirk beat the Gorn with tools he found in the arena on the planet. And as the Gorn is laying there about to die, possibly by Kirk's hand, Kirk lifts the thing, he's about to kill him, and then he's like, no. He throws it aside and goes, oh no, I won't kill you. And then the Metrons came and they were like, oh, you showed that you're more evolved than we had expected. And he sent them back to their respective ships. Yeah,
I was just thinking about this Gorn and like what's up with the Gorn. And like you pointed out, like surely they have space travel. But then we see this Gorn, and he is messing with a computer, and he's wearing a face mask, so he's got some level of intelligence. Definitely. But it almost makes me wonder if, like, the Gorn, the fact that they, like, let their young go out and just kill each other, and they just send Gorn eggs down to planets, it feels very, like, exploitative or something, and it almost makes me wonder if we've got, like, a Jim Hadar situation or something. Like, maybe the Gorn... We don't even know this, or like the Starfleet doesn't even find this out or something on a broader level. But maybe the Gorn ends up like are like servants of some other race or something like that is like more of like an upper class for whatever planet or system the Gorn are from, and they're like sending them out as like war parties to soften up the land, and then that's when the Dominion comes in, for instance. But obviously it wouldn't be the Dominion. But something like that could be. I don't know.
Maybe. Gorn Hegemony has been around in extended universe. That name has been around for a long time. They've talked about it. They mentioned them on Star Trek Enterprise. I don't know that there was ever a mention of them being tied in with anything bigger.
Right.
They just like a bunch of people laying eggs and colonizing the shit out of things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like you look at a species like that, and you're like, how do they achieve space travel? Like not because of how different they are, but because of how indifferent they are, to turn a phrase. Like, maybe it's because they have lots of eggs. Their species is just so different. But like, you think about we only function well because we have the morality to build a society. So like if you don't get to the point as a culture that you build a morality that allows you to survive together as a group, and and then break down the walls between groups to, support a larger infrastructure and build spaceships, especially like spaceships that all match each other and stuff, like the Gorn seem to. They seem to have sort of like the hegemony, the fleet and everything of ships. Like it just seems like you can't do that if you're running a society by like murdering all your young and like letting them fight to the death and like letting each other whatever. Like it just doesn't seem conducive to the kind of society that would build space travel. But maybe
you certainly can. Like especially if you are able to have like a whole litter of these creatures.
That's what would make that work, at least for the young part.
Yeah, and then you start thinking like survival of the fittest. Whoever is the strongest is going to survive, and they're going to be great to, And plus, we don't know anything. Like they might be like the Zindi. They might have like 4 or 5 different subspecies within their species.
Right. Totally.
Yeah, so they might have like the really slow-moving Gorn that we see in the original series. God knows Lorca had a skeleton of one of them in his little trophy room. So they even changed the look of the Gorn in that Mirror Universe episode of Enterprise back in the day. It was a different looking kind of lizard than the one that Kirk fought, and it was very fast. So I am okay with, like, I don't think they're changing canon too much on how the Gorn, because we've barely seen the Gorn. We've seen like 2 of them.
Right.
And we don't know anything about them. Kirk didn't know anything about them back in the day.
Maybe the one Kirk fought was just very old.
It could have been very old, or the planet could have been, while hot for Kirk, it could have been colder than the Gorn was used to, which will slow down a reptile.
Yeah.
That happens. So we can institute all sorts of headcanon for that.
Yes, we can.
To even it out for Kirk, because Kirk's not going to be as fast as the Gorn. So let's put him in a colder environment than he's used to.
Yeah, for sure. Man, well, yeah, I'm pumped, man, and I'm annoyed in the best way that this one didn't, end here or whatever. Like, I'm annoyed in the best way that we got to wait a few months because, I don't know, it's fun. It's fun to wonder what's going to happen.
Or a year and a half.
God, please no. Please no.
I mean, and they got to pay the writers and the actors, man.
I know. Cool. Well, do we get any feedback yet or anything?
We do have feedback. We have 2 feedback.
Sweet. Let's hear it.
Yeah. And if you guys didn't make it in to do feedback, leave it for us anyway. We'll do it on the next episode with me and Matt.
Yeah.
Let's see. Timothy Castillo sends us an email with the title Spock and Chapel shot in Gorno. He says, Matt, Dave, how are you hanging in there, guys? Star Trek's got a fun history for cliffhangers, and this was a pretty strong one. I think it would have struck better if they hadn't actually shown that the Gorn had beamed out the personnel on the planet. Yeah, we were just talking about that. Also, if Pike, who then knew that all those people were on that ship, had looked through that easily shatterable transparent view screen, you would stew, man, and said, on fire, and then we got a to be continued, I would have been jumping around more than I did. As it was, I thought that was really good. Pike has had a fairly cavalier attitude when faced with mortal danger due to his knowledge of his future, but now with so many on the line, the last scene shows how he is being foiled by this potential no-win scenario. Ortegas is the pilot. She flies the ship. However, I would argue that she is not a leaf on the wind. Another Serenity reference. There is definitely a thing with her and Chapel now for sure, so she's at least going to live long enough for them to have a conversation about it. Waiting so long to show Chapel was a good way to increase suspense, but it cut after she looked at the Jeffries tube, and then she showed up on the bridge with no further explanation. It seemed like she should have picked back up with her pinned in that hallway. Also, these shuttles are huge, strong into a good season, though. Loved seeing Scotty, looking forward to season 3. Lower decks in a month. I think she was looking at the escape hatch so she could get outside and talk to Spock, get his attention. And I think she was trapped right outside of the bridge, because then when Spock went inside the bridge, that same Gorn with the environmental suit was still up there futzing around with that computer. So I think she was outside of the bridge.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what the
I haven't watched it again.
I did think it was odd that she's trapped in a pocket of oxygen at first. She finally does get her EV suit on or whatever. But like she finally gets out, and like Spock seemed to be placing a lot of those things around her. It seems like if he's placing a bunch of those rockets, he'd want them on different parts of the ship, for like navigation purposes. It's like, it seemed a little bit like he placed at least 2 of them very close to her oxygen pocket.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just, the pertinent parts of the primary hull of the saucer section so that they could steer it. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you'd probably want those to be a little more spread out. It's not really a flaw. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah. Tim also writes back in and says, "Crap, I thought of a better subject line. Gorn, baby, Gorn." So much better and more tasteful. I hate myself now. No, I like the other one too.
Yeah, they're both great.
You got 2 for the price of 1. And keeping in line with Tim's first subject line, Stu sends us an email titled Gornography.
See, now you should feel bad, Tim. You made the same joke as Dave's alternate personality.
He's not my alt. Because the Gorn are marking out their territory on a map, aka geography. Okay, so it wasn't a porn joke.
Oh, Gornography, I get it.
Yeah, like geography. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what you meant.
I did think that it was weird. Okay, I realize one thing I think is a little stupid about this episode. I realize that the Gorn draw this line, and they're like, "Yeah, you want to go to war with us? Here's a line. You cross it, we're at war," and that's the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
But they just destroyed a Federation vessel, and did they not?
They destroyed the Federation vessel, but that vessel was in their space outside of. They sent that to show the Federation, this is where our space is. We just took this planet, which was outside of Federation space. So this is ours. Okay. We destroyed this. This is our space. You didn't know, but now you do. So now you don't have any excuse to cross that line.
Okay. I still don't like it.
I mean, that's what war is, man.
Right. But they just destroyed their ship and are actively hunting their people. I just don't see a stand down order being appropriate.
Yeah. They were in our space.
Yeah, I don't know.
You might not have known it, but now you do.
That's not. I just don't see that being how any quasi military would function. They're people directly under attack, and they're gonna just let the Gorn have them. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't know. These things are dicey, and they're hard to suss out.
Not an easy decision, but yeah, it just seems crazy.
Because if they cross that line now, they're plunging the whole quadrant into war.
I get it.
Yeah. Stu continues. Idyllic setting where Batel is having long-range communication with her boyfriend as the opener of the finale, and the screen is glitching, and then cuts out, and then she has to turn to a guy in a red shirt for advice. I can't see any way this could take a turn for the worse. It took a turn for the worse. Should have had a frozen Cayuga crew member shatter on the shuttle's windscreen. Windscreen. Oh my god. You know, we could just they could just show us looking through the view screen for effect, right? It doesn't have to actually be a literal view screen. It doesn't have to be a window. I mean, that bulb on the top of the Enterprise, we flew in and looked through there in the cage. For God's sake, is that bulb just a big skylight? It was so. On the Enterprise D.
Yeah, I always thought so.
Why is that any worse than a windshield for a view screen?
Well, I think his point is that exactly that's a bulb in the very top, right?
Uh-huh.
And so
like a target,
right? But if you're looking through that, and we've seen that multiple times be a window, then directly in front of you can't also be a window.
It can,
because of the shape of the ship.
No, it can.
No, it can't. The bridge isn't that big. If the bridge is in the center of the ship, it can't also be on the front of the ship. Is the point?
But it's not on the front. It's on that view screen is on the front side of that quote unquote bulb.
I don't know.
It's not the same thing as that strip of lights on the secondary hull. Not on the secondary hull, the primary hull, the saucer section.
Yeah.
I don't care either way.
Yeah, I don't really either.
It's a space show. I don't think Spock would enjoy horror movies. Quote, while splitting up would cover more ground quickly, the inherent danger in the vicinity would logically dictate greater safety in numbers. Also, they should have left the premises at the first sign of danger instead of going up the stairs. I also observe a tendency for the characters of African descent to be the first ones eliminated, despite my experiences showing that such people are no more or less capable than those of European ancestry. All right. Now I really want to Mystery Science Theater 3000 with Spock.
Yeah, sounds good.
Barbershop now. I hardly think this is the time to get your hair done, Chris. I mean, I know you're proud of it. Check out those gilfs. Gorns I'd loathe to fight. Pulling out all the stops for this. Pulling out all the stops for this season finale, Stu. Stu says, Scotty, and he's played by an actual Scottish actor at last. Hashtag representation matters. He says, honestly, they should just let Pike go on a suicidal mission like he wanted. He's got impenetrable plot armor, remember? Though maybe he's trying to avoid survivable wounds. Like his visions of the future. Don't say his dick wasn't bitten off by a Gorn, did they?
That's true.
I mean, yeah, I guess he could lose his dick to a Gorn.
It's true. It's a good point.
I mean,
it's a valid point.
And Gorn, they don't wait till they're of age to bite your dick off.
Mm-mm.
Baby Gorn.
Child dick-biting soldiers.
Stu says, phew, Chapel's alive. I was worried for a minute they were going to pull actually, Christine was just her middle name, but she has a young sister who's also a Starfleet nurse, whose first name is Christine thing. I'm not letting them Smallville Jimmy Olsen this shit. Oh, man. Okay, so maybe the Cayuga's view screen is a window. But that doesn't mean the Enterprise's is. And that doesn't change the fact it's a stupid design choice to put the bridge right up on the edge of the ship when you can just feed the view to a more secure location deeper in the vessel.
But sometimes all your view screens are out, man. You gotta navigate by the window.
Yeah, man, sometimes you gotta do that. They learned that during the Romulan War.
That's right.
Head cannon. Let's see. Stu says, in all caps, fuck you, exterior view of the ship proving me wrong. And fuck you, AMPTP, for not getting the WGA and SAG what they want and potentially lead to us not getting a conclusion to this for years.
Yeah.
This was a really good episode that ably served as a climax to various things throughout the season and did surprise me with it leading to this suspenseful cliffhanger. Not really sure how they're getting out of it beyond Scotty and Pelia rigging his device up, and I feel a simple rescue from more Starfleet ships could be anticlimactic. I
absolutely think this is going to start anticlimactically. That's how these always start. It's always like the big thing's about to happen, and then something happens to relieve the tension for another 45 minutes.
Aren't Section 31 doing anything about this Gorn situation? Though maybe also Pike disobeying orders to go on a rescue mission could be a key plot point too, where he starts to get pushed out of a direct command decision due to how it's arguable he escalated the situation right there. I like that the Gorn are kept as an actual sinister-looking threat for now, and we just need to communicate better, which is noble, but a little overdone. Sometimes you just want a bad guy to fight, and we have plenty of time to get to the point where one's a bartender in lower decks. Also, it goes without saying that finally introducing Star Trek's greatest character into this era propels the episode as an all-timer, too. Take care, Stu. Thanks, Stu.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because of Star Trek, the we just need to communicate better thing is important, and also it's been the theme of this season.
Oh yeah.
So,
I hope it's something interesting. I don't mind if it's a communication issue. Like they're clearly trying to work out how to communicate with the Gorn and how to keep the Gorn under, from being a threat. And I think that's going to continue, and they're going to continue other routes than just war. But I just want it to be interesting, Like they talked about this episode, the fact that they are like, they go into a feeding frenzy based on solar flares and stuff. It just seems like a really interesting way to think about it as a completely new kind of enemy,
Yeah, and also they'll rig up a way to talk to them via light flares.
Yeah. For sure.
To put them to sleep or something.
Right, exactly. That's possible, or they somehow disguise, prevent solar flare activity, or or at least they know when they're coming because of solar flare activity, or so somehow they learn to live and let live with the Gorn,
Yeah, for now.
Yeah, or if they can just understand where their territory is, because apparently that's a new thing, and apparently the Gorn can communicate that. You gotta just put some signs up or something. You Gorn,
damn it!
Yeah. So many Gorn puns today.
I know.
Well, man, any other thoughts about this episode? I feel good. I feel like we'll probably get some more feedback and maybe pop in to do one more episode before we were done with this season of Strange New Worlds. Great season. Just overall, killer season.
Yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this season, and I look forward to more.
Yeah. So my favorite episodes in modern Trek, I think.
Absolutely.
There's a few in Picard I really love, and there's some Discovery episodes I really love, but I think this one's got both beat, honestly. How good certain of these episodes were. For especially for standalone episodes.
For modern Trek, well, if you're talking standalone episodes, for modern Trek, season 3 of Picard just is the GOAT for me.
Yeah, I think season 3 of Picard is great for nostalgia. I don't think it does much building. It does have a few great things in it. I like it. I'm not hating at all. I have this the things I think about when I think about that season are mostly that's really there's a lot of nostalgia within me for that. That season excites a lot of nostalgia within me, but I don't know that I think about it and I'm not man, they really wrote a great sci-fi story. I don't think about it that way. It's a pretty okay Borg story. You know, it's but it's like you get these things you never thought you'd see again, like all of them standing on the Enterprise D together again. But I don't know that I feel, and it just feels like most of the stuff they did with that season feels like, I guess it's been done before, which doesn't mean it's bad. But I really liked some of the stuff they did this season with La'an's time travel story. I've never seen anyone like go through time travel and come to terms with her problematic family history. Like that was interesting and so well done in 45 minutes, you know?
Yeah. You've never seen Back to the Future?
That's not the same thing.
He came to terms with his problematic family history.
Came to terms with his problematic hots for his mom, but
he didn't have the hots for his mom. His mom had the hots for him.
I know, but that's not something he would have to come to terms with. You see, it didn't fit the narrative.
But he had to come to terms with the fact that his dad was a coward. He had to come to terms with the fact that his uncle was always a jailbird.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I don't know if he exactly had to come to terms with things. Maybe the dad being a coward, probably. Yeah.
His mom was a nudge because she was kind of a promiscuous girl in high school. His mom was
a nudge.
A nudge, yeah.
What's a nudge?
You know, like a nag. You know, like someone who's just like always on his case about like, I don't like girls who ask boys to dances. I don't like that girl.
She was just a hypocrite. I've never heard the word nudge.
Oh yeah, no, that's the thing. Look it up.
All right. How do you spell nudge? 2 O's?
I don't know.
Because you
can't heard it for years.
You can't go nudge. I've just never heard that word.
Let's see.
But I like it. Good job. Thanks for introducing me to nudge.
Yeah, nudge. Noodge. An irritating person who persistently nags and whines.
All right. Yeah. I just thought she was being a hypocrite. Never thought it was.
Oh, I mean, sure.
Most
nudges are, but they're a hypocrite from experience.
At least that one was. Yeah. No, you're right. That's not unlike Back to the Future in some ways.
It's not as dramatic.
Yeah, it's not as dramatic at all. Like the way he comes to terms with those things is more like a comedic. Like, that's just about like. I feel like that's not so much coming to terms with as much as it is just him understanding his parents were people. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of what happens here, but here it's like there's just so much weight on her about like how her family history is. Like this just terrible weight on her. And in one episode, they both let her experience life without that through Kirk's eyes. But then they also allowed her to like come to terms with her family history, even though it's terrible, led to the future. Like, it's just interesting.
And the fact that Khan, for as much as she hates him, at some point was just a scared little boy.
Yeah. And
circumstances in his environment beyond his control led him to become the person he is, or he was.
You may come up with another example, but I can't think of a episode of anything or movie where like a doctor turned out to have been the secret like butcher of a war scenario who ended up like coming up with the perfect crime with his premeditated self-defense. Like that was just freaking baller, man. That's some killer writing. That's like great writing science fiction wise, like character study wise, and also like criminology wise. Like it was just really, really tight. Those are probably my 2 favorite episodes. And then you got the Lower Decks crossover this season. This season, those 3 episodes alone are stacked.
Yeah. A couple of bummer episodes.
Yeah, there's a couple that aren't amazing. A couple that definitely could be better. My least favorite being the Lotus Flower one.
Yeah, the Lotus Eaters. That wasn't one of my favorites. Also, I actually think I liked the episode with Uhura and Kirk, where she was seeing the visions from dead people. I like that one less than the Lotus Eaters.
Uhura and Kirk. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that one. Seeing the visions from dead people. Yeah, I don't even remember how that one resolved.
Well, it was, it was aliens trying to explain that
that's right.
Yeah, their fuel from that was
that
killing
one did
them.
not bother me at all. That one
just bored me.
It was just a middling episode for me. But for me, this season was mostly middling episodes. A couple big swings, like the crossover, which turned out great, and then the big swing of the Rhapsody, which turned out, I think, middling. You didn't like it at all.
I didn't really like it very much.
And then like 2 just amazing episodes, and then a great finale that leaves me on the edge of my seat for next season. So like I just think it's a great season of television.
I don't think I was a fan of the first episode either. Whatever that.
I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah, that's my point.
The fact that we can sit here and talk about the majority of the 10 with and still remember what happened in the majority of the 10 episodes. I feel like a lot of times these seasons pass by and I'm like, I don't remember any individual episodes hardly. Well, it's partially because of the overarching storytelling of newer Trek, but I feel like there's just a lot of strength in this season.
Yeah. There's at least 3 of these episodes that I will be happy to go back to. I really like the episode where Spock became human.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That was fantastic.
It was hard for me to watch it at first because it was so silly, but I think it kind of loosened me up for the Lower Decks episode and the Rhapsody episode. It loosened me up a little bit. It
was a little silly, but it was also kind of heartbreakingly poignant.
Yeah, for sure. But it was more hijinks, and his lady don't like that.
That's why he needed to get rid of her.
Spock is all about hijinks.
He can't take that shit when the jinx is low.
Higher, further, faster, jinx, baby. Okay, sorry. All right. Well, I think that is about it for us tonight. If you guys have any more feedback, send it in. We'll probably do another feedback episode if we get some. And otherwise, I'll probably be just stopping in for some news episodes if we get a bunch of news episodes. Otherwise, I'm taking a little break because I got a really busy couple weeks coming up.
You do.
And we got a Star Trek break. And I'm taking a little break from Pandavision and Bingers Assemble, and I'm going to be focused on this. We hadn't talked about it much on the show at all, but we got the MCU cast is doing a whole new thing with a new ad partner, and it's going to be a lot. It's going to take an adjustment period. So I'm excited, but it's going to be adjustments.
I hear you.
I hate adjustments.
It sounds exciting, but also tedious and horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. We haven't really talked about it. It's not that horrible. It's just it's going to take. So the thing they require for us to work with them is they require a lot more planning. We have to have all of our drop dates 14 days before the month starts. So that means we have to plan out all of our drop dates, and then they sell ads based on those specific drop dates, and we have to do them as part of the show. So they have to feel the ads have to be integrated into the show. So instead of putting ad breaks in like we do now, where there's whatever, it'll be us actually live reading the ad as part of the show, like a lot of the bigger podcasts do. But that just takes a lot of.
About this.
Oh, we did? Yeah. It just takes a lot more planning.
Yeah.
I hadn't mentioned it on any of the shows, but I didn't know if we'd talk directly about it. But yeah, it just takes a lot more planning and writing a script out and knowing what you need to say. Normally when I have to do an ad read, I spend 15 minutes kind of messing around with it, rewriting it, and and then I just read it. Now I've got to do it while interacting with other people, but making sure to say the right copy, and it's just going to be a learning curve. But it'll be good. I'm excited. Yeah,
I mean, that sounds cool if you're excited about it.
Yeah,
For me, it sounds like torment.
Yeah. Well, any learning a new thing is always kind of tormenting, right?
Sure.
For me, it is anyway.
Well, the worst part to me sounds I'd be fine with live ad reads, but I think the worst thing to me feels like it would be having the drop dates specified. And having to stick to that?
Yeah. You can't be well, I'm just not doing sometimes you just have a busy week with other life stuff, and you just have to be well, I'm just gonna not do that episode this week, like as we have to do with Star Trek all the time, or we have to push it a couple days or whatever. Yeah. And MCU Cast for a while, we've tried to do a pretty like steady release schedule, but this will just be like, oh, we're locked in. We got to do it. And we're going to have a backup plan if I can't do it, or if Jeff can't do it, or if Ashley can't do it, or have other people kind of on call and stuff. So it's just going to be a whole just change of like the way we think about the show and the infrastructure and doing it. And the whole point is it's basically trying to go pro with it and make the show a professional show. And like up until now, it's just been us sitting in rooms chatting, so it's going to be a little bit different and interesting endeavor. And it was interesting to tell you guys about it here on Star Trek Universe. That may not even be pertinent to any of you. I don't know how many. I know there's some of you guys who listen to the MCU cast for sure.
Somebody does.
Oh yeah, but we'll be back soon with more here on Star Trek Universe. Peace. Joel Untrue. Almost missed it.
Well, before I say my thing, I will say that Effie and I are going to start putting out our episodes of our TOS reviews. And of course, you're welcome to join us when we do those.
Sweet.
We're doing one tonight.
Oh, nice.
About midnight, so we're going to be recording. So,
man, now that I'm actually like full-fledged guardian and everything for Skylar or whatever, I have to be up to take her to school at 6 a.m. every day. So these late night records are just like not going to be in my wheelhouse for a while. So I'm really going to start. We're going to start planning a little better and doing things during the day, especially day. You can normally do daytimes. I can too. Daytimes would be great.
Yeah. The issue with Effie is that she lives in the Netherlands.
Right. Watch out for them windmills, Effie. Watch out for them windmills.
Anyway,
what was that from? I'm making.
I don't know.
Oh, I know what it's from. I was thinking it was from Star Trek because I watched it right before Star Trek, and then I realized how little sense that made. Like no sense at all. I watched a show called You're the Worst. Really good show. Really good show. Very crass. NSFW or whatever. But there is like this episode. This rapper. He's like, yeah. You're breaking up with me, aren't you? And she's like, no, why would I be breaking up with you? It's this publicist. I wouldn't break up with you like that. And he's like, yeah, you taking me to this carnival is just like my parents. They told me they're getting divorced at a putt-putt golf place, and now I can't look at windmills without crying. and then later on, like way deeper in the episode, someone says, we put a tour together through the Netherlands or something, and he's like, as long as we could stay away from the windmill parts, I'm good.
Well, windmills always make me think of Futurama, where like some place that has windmills is like there's a solar flare or it's heating up or something, and the news reporters are talking about it, and this like always like the little blonde human reporter, and then like this really big alien reporter. She's like, hopefully the windmills will help cool the land down, and he just screams, windmills don't work that way. So for years on DC on Screen, we like Jason and I would be talking, or somebody would leave feedback, and we'd just be like, windmills, and that was not contextual, but
that doesn't work that way. Love it. All right, guys.
Anyway.
Joel Untrue.
Live long and prosper.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.